Welcome to the March edition of North St. Paul Notes. I'm your host, Paul Anderson. Coming up in the next half hour this month, we'll talk with Community Development Director Paul Ammerman about a variety of topics, including the latest development in the city and the downtown revitalization project. Stay tuned. North St. Paul Notes is straight ahead. Hello and welcome to the March edition of North St. Paul Notes. We hope this show will keep you up to date on the news and events that are of interest to the residents of North St. Paul. I'm joined now by Community Development Director Paul Ammerman to talk about development in the city, the downtown revitalization project, the comp plan, and more. Welcome, Paul.
Welcome. Thank you, Paul.
You've been on several times before.
A few times, yes.
I don't remember how many, but it was right after you started
at least
with the
three,
city.
I think, yeah.
3 times?
I believe so, yeah.
Previous to this?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize it was that many times. You're always willing to be on the air, I know, right?
Lots to talk about usually. So.
Yeah, I know it. Well, how long have you had the job with the city of North St. Paul now?
I think in March it'll be 6 years.
6 years?
Right.
Okay. That's
St. Patrick's Day, I believe, was.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Okay. You always remember when you started it.
Exactly.
What kind of positions did you have before coming to North St. Paul, and where?
I've been involved in sort of the community development, business development field for quite some time. I've worked for nonprofit community development organizations.
Oh, okay.
Some of them have been involved more with small business finance and
Sure.
affordable housing development.
Okay.
Worked for electric utilities for a while and business
see.
development,
Okay.
Xcel Energy and Great River Energy,
Okay.
and a couple of cities prior to North St. Paul as
Okay.
well.
Well, you've had quite a bit of experience then. So,
Yeah.
was your training aimed at community development? Or?
I've got a master's in urban planning.
Oh, okay.
The emphasis was more on sort of policy analysis as opposed to land use zoning type issues, but
Okay.
it still fits in within the realm of kind of what encompasses the things that I've worked on.
Sure. Well, what does your work in North St. Paul involve then? I guess you're called Community or Economic Development Director or
Community Development Director.
Okay.
So yeah, so it's a little bit different depending on the community, but usually the main things are it's planning and zoning, it's the building official, and sometimes there's code enforcement in there. Here in North St. Paul, code enforcement is worked on through the fire department
Sure.
and the employees there. At one time we had elections that went back over to the administrative side.
Okay.
Economic development, housing and redevelopment. So quite a wide variety of
Sure.
things. So we have a lot of interaction with the community and contractors, private business people that come in to get license or permits
Okay.
for a variety of things.
Yeah. And I know that the permitting situation has changed some as far as the fees are concerned.
Right. So we recently took a hard look at all of our fee structures. Every year it's something that the City Council acts upon, whether something has changed, whether it goes up, goes down. And when we took a look at sort of the surrounding communities and similar communities to North St. Paul, we saw that we're a bit high than others, and I guess our whole focus is now how can we be more business friendly, cost effective.
Sure.
So one of the big things was like getting a building permit. So whether it's a homeowner doing siding or a new deck or a major rebuild of a new home, the fees are significantly lower now in 2018.
What do you feel will be the effect of that? Is that something?
Well, we hope, we're always trying to encourage reinvestment in the community. And our Housing Redevelopment Authority is developing programs to incentivize people to reinvest in their homes, whether it's the exterior or interior of their property. So we're hoping that because, I mean, you need to get a building permit prior to doing any work on your home. You know, it's not, you know, we don't have 100% compliance. So our aim is to get people to get the permit willingly, and if it's, you know, not quite the burden financially, then hopefully they'll get the permit. Because I mean, the whole permitting process to ensure the homeowner, you know, gets the work that's done safely and improves the property, and it's done right. And it's done by a licensed contractor.
Well, I should think that would encourage or be more of an encouragement for people to get a permit, if the fees are lower.
Yes.
Because I know many people will just skip that process and take a risk that they won't be discovered.
That's correct. We can't be everywhere all the time,
No,
so
I know
it's kind of self-policing to a large degree. But it's really to the benefit of the homeowner and their neighbor, because you want your neighbor to do things right and correctly and safely and all that kind of stuff, because it helps maintain your value as well.
Right. Well, in thinking about economic development, I know that's part of, you serve with the Economic Development Commission, and I did a little bit of research just to see what happened in North St. Paul in the earlier days. And it's kind of interesting because a lot happened in a short amount of time. The founder of North St. Paul, Henry Castle, had accumulated about 1,200 acres of land, which he then decided to develop. And I was always curious about how he went about that, how he brought so many businesses into North St. Paul in the first year. And it turns out that, of course, one of the things that happened was that the railroad went right through the center of his property. And there's always a question about how did that happen? Was that just a coincidence? But Henry Castle had quite a bit of influence in the state, and he served on in the legislature and knew the right people in the Republican Party, and they were the powers at the time. And I have a suspicion, it was never stated for sure, but that he was able to put some pressure on to get the railroad to come right through his property.
And so insider trading.
That turned out to be a real positive thing for the development of North St. Paul, because if you could get a railroad in the area. And then what they did in the original plans was they set aside 150 acres along the tracks for industrial development.
Okay.
And so that gave them incentive for that too. And I found in this book, and I don't know how we could show this, if this is possible just to hold up here, this is the Northwest Journal from 1888, and there was an article in here, it was a business journal, and there was an article in here about North St. Paul and how it developed in the first year. And so what they described was in here, it said they obtained a list of manufacturers and sent circulars throughout the country with the advantages of locating in North St. Paul. They also provided free building sites, and sometimes a cash bonus was offered. So they had a bit of money to work with, and so by August of 1887, that's the first year that they were building the town, 13 manufacturers had agreed to come and had started their building projects.
Wow.
So that was a pretty successful venture. And I don't know if Henry Castle was responsible for most of that. They did hire a person to go around and visit different parts of the country to spread the word too.
Oh.
So that was part of their process. At the start, when you first started here, in what year was it? You told me it was 6 years
would be like 2012.
Yeah, right.
Did I
Okay.
do the math right?
Right. Well, I figured you would know.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
You faced some problems, I imagine, at the beginning. What would you say was the initial?
Well, I guess our key areas are and were and still are the what we call our two gateways, which would one of them was at 36 Highway 36 at McKnight, where Anchor Block manufacturing plant was.
Right.
So we call that our west gateway, and then the other gateway is where, which is now the city-owned property, but was where the school district bus garage was, our eastern gateway. So we've got those two major pieces of property that we were looking for are major, would have the most impact as far as new development potential, and it's taken until, well, almost today to generate the interest, significant interest, where someone is actually looking at putting an offer on the property and acquiring the property to
That
do
is both
development.
at the
On both sides.
both
It's kind of ironic almost that you wait 10 or so years and then all of a sudden it all kind of happens at the same time.
What do you attribute that to? Just
I don't know.
Difference in the economy?
Good
do you
luck,
think?
I think.
Maybe that's part of it. Yeah.
I'm not sure.
Well,
But one of it is what we've been trying to do over the years is develop some relationship with commercial real estate brokers, builders, investors, developers, et cetera. And what we've been told by the commercial brokers is that this whole kind of northeast part of the metro area is a very slow market for commercial real estate. Most of the decision makers, when they're looking at new sites, they tend to gravitate to the west metro or the southwest, or maybe Woodbury.
Sure.
So we were, kind of flyoverland concept. We were kind of drive through.
Right.
And people knew North St. Paul, but they never really explored. And so what we've been able to do is get people to explore and kick the tires. And
Sure.
it's taken many, many different developers and business folks and people interested in. But I think we're getting to the point where people are really taking a serious look, and they're getting to the point where they're going to acquire the property and do something. What we've had in the past too is because, like in what we call Commerce Park, where the school bus garage was on the eastern edge along Century and 36 area, is that there's so many different property owners. The city owns 2 acres, but most developers, to make money, need 5 to 7 acres. So the difficulty is, since we don't control the property, the developer wasn't able to control the property, they really can't do anything. Different entities might be interested in building something there, but until you have control, you can't. It's all speculative. And the other issue with the Commerce Park on the eastern side is the whole unknowns with the intersection of 36 and Century.
Sure.
Especially retailers, they, until that is completed almost, they're not interested in, really significantly talking about what they might be doing.
So they want to have access.
Right, they don't know what the access is, they don't know the timing, and for retail, that's, that's key.
Yeah.
Next to location,
Right.
it's access.
How about the Anchor Block site?
So the Anchor Block, it looks like we have a really strong contender and a developer that's seriously been negotiating with the owner of the property. They intend to submit an offer to the owner, and hopefully that all gets worked out. But these things all take a long time, because there's that kind of letter of intent is sort of the initial stage, and then they move to a purchase agreement, and then you move on to the development scenarios. But what they've talked about is housing on the south side of the parcel, so the Gateway State Trail bisects the site, kind of everything to the south of the Gateway Trail their concept is housing, and everything to the north would be kind of a mix of anywhere from light industrial to commercial, professional,
Sure.
retail type businesses.
So the south side is up on the hill area,
Right.
and the
Yep.
other's on the flatland.
Yep, it's a little more set back. It's got that relief to it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the Gateway Trail's a great amenity. You know, it's a little quieter back there. The visibility is not as important, so to speak. So it seems to be well suited for, and it's supported by our comprehensive plan and the master redevelopment plan that we did a few years ago, contemplated higher density housing in that area.
Okay.
And hopefully, I mean, what we're trying to do is get more housing closer to the downtown area, because retail trade is all driven by numbers of people.
Sure.
And so the more people we can get closer to the scene, so to speak, I think it's going to be helpful to providing a more diverse business base within the downtown. And that's what a lot of people have saying. They really prize they think it's a real jewel of a downtown. It's a real traditional. Most suburban communities don't have a downtown like that.
Right.
And they want to preserve it, enhance it, and hopefully add to the variety of businesses that are down there.
Okay, but what's happening in the downtown area? What currently? Where do we stand? I know that a lot of people are wondering and asking for something to be improved and changed downtown.
So we've engaged our city engineering firm to do a study on capital improvements or public improvements that could be or needed to be done within the downtown area. We've had several community meetings with the residents who would be like shoppers or users to the business community. And we're trying to get an idea of, one, what is actually needed from an infrastructure standpoint, water, sewer, roads, what condition they're in, and what would need to be done. And then also we're trying to get the community, residents and businesses, to kind of imagine what do they want the downtown to be in 10 years, 20 years, sort of thing. So that might be more amenities. Maybe it's some type of gathering place or a park, or maybe it's street furniture, or kind of what look and feel beyond just fixing the street or the sidewalks, kind of thing.
And isn't there something to do with the infrastructure there, the
Right.
water mains and
Right. So they're sort of digging deeper to get a better understanding of what the condition of that infrastructure is, and then if it needs to be upgraded, try to estimate, put a number on the cost to do that. And then also they're looking at even like pedestrian and bike access and non-motorized movement of people through the corridor there.
Sure. You had mentioned the comp plan. Is that something that you can expound on a little bit?
Sure. So the comprehensive plan is really the long-term vision of the community. And has to be done by state statute every 10 years. So every community in the metro area, anyway, is going through this same process. We've had what we called community cafes on various subject matters.
Right.
So whether it's transportation or parks and recreation or economic development, business development, we kind of broke it down into those topical areas. We had building success on people showing up and getting their input, and now we're just finishing up on, I think we have 2 different chapters left, like economic development is still being put together, and as those things were being put together, we've got a steering committee that's sort of coordinating it between these community cafes or engagement, the city council, the various commissions that the city has. And then the aim is to get it through the planning commission first, then through the city council, and then ultimately it has to be reviewed and approved by the Metropolitan Council.
Okay.
Another step we have to take is we have to share the plan with neighboring communities, and they have an opportunity to comment on what's going in there.
Okay.
I think it's to better coordinate activities amongst the regional communities.
I imagine that something like that would disrupt certain areas and create traffic in other
Right, you
communities.
want some symmetry, not
Sure.
not a a hard industrial area next to a luxury home development on the next community.
Yeah, right. Well, it's interesting that things are happening, and I imagine that the economy back when you started was much different than it is now too. So
Correct. Yeah, that's certainly part of it. The other thing is that there's not many large tracts of raw land especially within the core,
sure.
and it's a very prized thing for developers to
Right.
find such a thing, and because more people are wanting to be closer to the core as
Sure.
opposed to going to the far out suburbs.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that that plays a part of it as well.
Sure.
And I think just our ability to get out there and develop some better relationships with the movers and shakers, so to speak, has helped.
You had mentioned something about Target and the improvements that they're making. Is that something you can mention it a little bit?
Yeah, they're going to be making some facade improvements. They got, I think, a slightly different rendition of their logo. I think they're going to have a pickup area.
Okay.
So where you could order something online, whether it's grocery or an item, and come down there and pick it up, as opposed to having it delivered through the mail.
Sure.
And they're making interior improvements as well. And this is, I think, a national effort on the corporate Target to upgrade their stores.
Sure. Well, we're almost out of time, but you had mentioned something also about a new video that's out now.
Yes.
Can you talk about that?
It's very exciting. So this is it's a 3-minute video. It's a marketing video. The Economic Development Commission it came out of there. It generated out of there. I mean, the target audience was initially the business community. How do we attract and get people to take a look at our community? But it's also aimed at residents and new residents and maybe shoppers, potential shoppers, to get people interested. It's meant to really capture their attention, and hopefully we can get them to come to our website or learn more about it through some other avenue. But it's available on the city's website, northstpaul.org.
Okay.
And we welcome people to take a look.
Sure.
I would describe North St. Paul as charming, rich in a true manufacturing and workers' work ethic mentality, and safe. So you have all of the charm, the safety, the small town environment, but yet you're a stone's throw from Minneapolis, bigger communities within the metro, so that business commerce is a breeze.
Downtown St. Paul is a great place to be. You have classic cars on Friday nights and the very quaint downtown with all the antique shops, to the high-speed internet that we can access in our site, which is very convenient for our business and helps us operate even better.
It's a small city, so when you need something from the city, they're very receptive and quick. I love the fact that they have the car show every Friday night. Well, the people and the surrounding community and the workforce that comes from the surrounding community. Well, I like the fact that it's going through a revolution right now. And a lot of the older homes are being bought by younger people and they're fixing them up, which is really nice because we're going to see a nice transformation in North St. Paul over the next decade. It's easy for my customers to find us. Coming out to North St. Paul is, from almost anywhere in the metro is pretty easy. So that's nice too.
The community here are very active. If there's a need, they'll try and fill it. If there's a cause that needs funds, they're going to find a way to raise the funds for that cause.
It's got great park system. We have a great police force. All the services that North St. Paul provide are really good, and we're really happy to be here.
The city of North St. Paul, when they noticed that we were having a little delay in some of our applications, they just wanted to jump right in. The price per square foot is so affordable for all that you get location-wise. North St. Paul is a fabulous bargain.
If our business was not in this location, we would have difficulty drawing as many families in as we do.
Our distributor for our products needed us to be within the 694, 494 beltway of the Twin Cities. This makes distribution of any product a breeze. We are 5 minutes from the entrance ramp onto the major artery here, and very close to Highway 94 for interstate traffic. We are a stone's throw, just a block off of the beautiful Gateway Trail.
We have clients that take the city bus and get dropped off right in front of our salon. The access from Highway 36 is fantastic. Every day can be a different day in North St. Paul, and they're fulfilling.
Well, I appreciate your coming on the program today, Paul. We are out of time, and so next time it'll be the fourth. No, or this is the fourth time on.
This is the fourth,
So-
yes.
You haven't worn out your welcome here, so
Well, maybe the next time when
Well,
we
more to
fill up
report.
all of our vacant space,
that's right. Yeah, so that
I
would
can
be
hand you
ideal.
the keys to the community or
Yeah,
something.
but then what do you do after that?
Yeah,
All
retire,
the
I
space
guess.
is gone. Okay, thanks, Paul. We're out of time on this month's show. Join us again next month when we'll bring you more news about North St. Paul. I'm Paul Anderson, speaking for everyone at the City of North St. Paul. Thank you for watching.